Cancer awareness, my friend. You're obsessed with clothing, aren't you?
No. Just observational. Fashion statements.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all very much for joining us today, and thank you to Director Sullivan and to our team at the Department of Agriculture who has worked so hard to get us to this point. Our agriculture industry is an economic engine for our entire state, and it's a foundation of our economy. We have over 75,000 farmers who are tending to over 72,200 farms across our state, and they're sending corn and soybeans and wheat and even pumpkins across the country and across the world. Our 2,500 food manufacturing companies have led us to be #1 in the nation in processed food sales, accounting for $180 billion in sales. This is a massive industry. It's a core pillar of our state economy, and it's a huge component of my plan and any plan to move our state forward. And most importantly, it's part of Illinois' DNA, and it will help define who we are for generations to come. As governor, I will ensure Illinois remains at the forefront of what it means to be a 21st century agricultural economy. That's part of what we're doing here today. Industrial hemp is a potentially billion-dollar industry that Illinois will now take part in. From farming and processing to sales and exports, this will have a massive impact on our state's economy. Farmers across the state can diversify their crops and join a growing industry. Hundreds have already expressed interest in planting hemp just this year. Entrepreneurs can open new facilities ready to process hemp. Dozens have already said that they plan to do so. And thanks to our status as a transportation hub for the Midwest and for the nation, we can sell and ship this product across the country and across the world. This will help create jobs and grow our economy in Illinois. Applications to grow and process industrial hemp are now live. I'm grateful to the Department of Agriculture for getting this done so quickly and for making sure that our farmers can grow hemp this season. Now I'd like to turn it over to Director Sullivan to say a few words, and then we'll be happy to take questions at the end.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you here this morning as well. I've been on the job now for about 3 months, just a little bit over 3 months, and there has been one issue that has come up time and time again, day after day, multiple times during the day, in the form of calls and emails and just conversations that I've had with folks. And that is, when will we be able to plant industrial hemp, and will we be able to do it in 2019 during this growing season? And so when I took over, I instructed my staff, and I'll point them out here in just a minute, but I instructed our staff to do everything that they could to ensure that hemp can be planted and grown this year. And as the governor just announced, as of 9 o'clock this morning, the applications are live. They are online. You can go online, fill out the application. It's a fairly simple process. Identify where you're going to be growing the crop, where you're going to be planting your hemp, pay your licensure fees. We'll confirm that information, and we'll get a permit back to you as soon as we possibly can. But I think once it dries up, as soon as the weather dries up here a little bit, you're going to be able to plant hemp this year. I might just add that when Governor Pritzker and I sat down to have a discussion about me being the possibility of me being the Director of Ag, he asked me, John, what are some things that you can do, that the Department of Ag could do out in a rural community to help agriculture in the state of Illinois? And I said, well, I think that we need to, first of all, be able to diversify the crops that we grow, and we need to create job opportunities. And I feel very confident that hemp has the potential to create jobs in the rural parts of the state, and quite frankly in the urban parts as well. I've had about as much interest, not as much, I've had a lot of interest from the urban areas of the state as well. You don't need acres and acres to grow hemp. You can do it on a smaller plot. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a couple small plots out on the fairgrounds that we're going to be planting here before long, as soon as it dries up. And we're going to use that to educate the public as to what hemp is, what it looks like, that there's two different varieties. There's the fiber side of it, there's the oil side of it. We're also going to have some plots down at the DuQuoin Fairgrounds as well. So we're going to use that to educate the public. And so we're here this morning to announce that this opportunity is now available to farmers and producers and business owners, because we want to not just grow hemp, we also want to process hemp in the state of Illinois. And so we think there's some tremendous opportunities there as well. I'd like to turn this over now to Bill Bodine with the Illinois Farm Bureau to make a couple comments. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Director. Again, my name is Bill Bodine. I'm the Associate Director of State Legislation for the Illinois Farm Bureau. And on behalf of the Illinois Farm Bureau, I want to thank and congratulate the Governor, Director Sullivan, and their staff for the very hard work that they put in making these license applications available for the 2019 growing season. The Illinois Farm Bureau has long supported the legalization of the production of industrial hemp in the state of Illinois. We're very excited that our farmers are going to have the opportunity to grow this crop this year. It does present a new opportunity for our farmers to diversify their operations, and it also presents an opportunity for economic development in rural Illinois. So it's exciting for our farmers, it's exciting for the Illinois Farm Bureau, and it's our pleasure to be here today. So Governor and Director, thank you again for your very hard work, and we look forward to growing this crop this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you to Farm Bureau for your support. Before I introduce our next speaker, I do want to point out Jeff Cox. Jeff, hold your hand up. Jeff is with the Illinois Department of Agriculture. He is the guru on hemp. He has written the rules with his, along with our other legal staff, and has worked on the application. There's been a lot of folks. He has a great team that has worked on this, but any of the technical questions, I'm going to turn them over to Jeff here in a minute. Now I'd like to introduce Liz Ruppel with the Illinois Stewardship Alliance. Liz?
Thank you, Director Sullivan, and thank you all for having us here, Governor Pritzker. We really appreciate this opportunity to talk with you today. I'm Liz Ruppel. I'm the policy organizer at the Illinois Stewardship Alliance. This was truly a team effort. This was a coalition of groups that helped get the Industrial Hemp Act passed. Some of them are in this room today. We have the Illinois Environmental Council, we have the Illinois Hemp Industries Association, the Illinois Farm Bureau standing behind us, and the Illinois Farmers Union. We are very excited for this opportunity that is bringing to our small and large farmers that are a part of the Stewardship Alliance. It's an incredible new crop, not new to Illinois, but new to these farmers. They're very excited to get their hands on it and to start growing and to start producing income and jobs for our economy and for themselves. Again, thank you very much for having us here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make one last comment. The Department of Agriculture under John Sullivan just has been doing outstanding work. It's very difficult to get all of these rules put together, to get up online, to allow people to apply for these applications in a new industry, to create new jobs, to expand opportunity for revenue to come in for businesses in the state of Illinois. That's what we were aiming at from the very beginning, and John Sullivan went to work right away to make sure that we were getting that done. And it's not just in that area, but also in rural broadband, where he's brought a lot of players together to make sure that we're focusing on how we're going to expand broadband to every corner of the state of Illinois. So we'll be making announcements over the course of the year here in that regard, but just know that the Department of Agriculture is just doing a terrific job, and thank you for your leadership, John. I'm happy to take any questions, and of course the people behind me also.
On the regulations, how much is going to cost for somebody to grow, somebody to process, kind of walk us through some of the requirements that farmers should expect to...
Yep. So the application process, or the application itself, is a $100 application fee, and then we have, once we approve the application, then you can go online to get your actual license, and that is, you can purchase either a 1-year, 2-year, or 3-year license. And the numbers, Jeff, is $375 for 1 year, $700 for 2 years, and $1,000 for 3 years.
And then how do you differentiate or follow up on people making sure that it's actually hemp and not,
Great question. That's why when you fill out the application, you're going to identify where, through an aerial map, basically through the latitude and longitude coordinates, you're going to identify where the field is going to be, and then our staff, our inspectors will be out there periodically throughout the year. We will be testing the crop to make sure that, as you folks probably know, hemp has to be under 0.03 on the THC, and so we're going to be testing it throughout the year to make sure that it does stay under those limits.
What are some examples of products or ways you can see this being processed?
Well, there's two types, as I mentioned earlier, there's two types of hemp. One is grown for the fiber side of it, and Jeff brought into my office last week a piece of, it looked like a piece of plastic, but it was actually made out of hemp. So I think hemp on the fiber side could be used as a substitute or a different form of plastic. And then the other side, the other type of a hemp product that will be grown will be for the oil, and that is a CBD oil that you see quite common around the entire country.
Director, this issue goes back 15 years. Evelyn Bowles,
Yes.
former colleague, Ron Loffer.
Absolutely.
And it was rejected largely because of concern of the relationship with cannabis. Is there any
Right.
way for this product to be abused, to be misused?
Well, first of all, and Senator Bowles, she was an advocate for many, many years in the Senate prior to my arrival there, but she introduced that bill year after year. And of course, as you folks probably know, hemp was grown very commonly up until about around 1930 or so. 1940 is when, yeah, it was used, obviously, yeah. I even Googled this, I think there was at least a dozen hemp rope factories in the state of Illinois. And so, but then the whole war on drugs kind of started, and then it was treated more as a drug instead of as a fiber. So, to answer your question, we are going to, the one reason that our application is so detailed and we ask a lot of questions is that we want to make sure we know where the crop is being grown, and that we want to make sure that that it doesn't get abused, and that we're going to be out there testing it to make sure that those THC levels stay down there where they need to be, so that the product is used the way that it's intended to be used for.
Governor, for the director of the bill, the jobs, how many, is there estimates that you thought of, or economic impact that could come to the state?
Well, I don't have an answer to that unless you've got a number.
I don't have a specific number.
Yeah, so I can only go by the amount of interest that we've had. And I think we will know more in the next week or 2 weeks as the growing season is upon us. My goal was to have the applications done and for people to be able to apply and grow hemp or plant hemp by May the 1st. That's kind of the start of the growing season for the crop. And so, we're in that right now. It's going to be very interesting. And Jeff, by the amount of interest that we have seen, we certainly anticipate there will be hundreds of applications. There could be 1,000. We just simply don't know at this point. Once we know how much hemp. There's no cap, no. And I know some states have a cap, but no, we do not. But once we know how many people are growing it, I think that's going to lead to the processing side of it, which is, we have to grow it before we can process it. Did you have a question?
Do you have a question?
Are there commodity markets for this? Do we know, like, the price per bushel?
No, I guess not. That's a great question, but I don't have an answer to that. So we do know that, as I said earlier, we have no processing in the state of Illinois right now. There is in some surrounding states, Kentucky, I think Michigan, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Kentucky, Missouri, working on it.
Yeah. So there are some markets there for it, but I assume it's the fiber side is probably done by the tonnage.
Yes.
Fiber done by the tonnage.
And the oil and the seed for the oil would be by the pound.
By the percentage of CBD in the plant.
There you go. Thank you.
I guess go to the Chicago Board of Trade and buy some.
Not yet. Not yet. Did you have a question?
Talk so much about time. Governor, have you given your final stamp of approval to the marijuana legalization bill that's supposed to come out tomorrow?
We've had, as you know, we had working groups working on each one of the pieces of that bill. There's still some discussion going on one or two things today just to finalize. But suffice to say that, as I understand it from the sponsors of the bill in the House and the Senate, that their belief is that sometime in the next few days that bill will be introduced And look, one of my number one focus areas for this has been equity and making sure that we're addressing the fact that the war on drugs has most ill-affected communities of color. We want to make sure that this bill addresses the historical discrimination that's existed and also gives people a new opportunity to create new businesses. I just want to make one comment on the question that was asked about job creation in the hemp production industry. As I understand it, there's already been interest in starting up production facilities, processing facilities, that is, in the state. So that will no doubt create new types of jobs. Processing is different than growing, as you know.
But if the Black Caucus is not satisfied with the language as it is, or, don't feel like they're getting their due in, equity, are you willing to go beyond May 31st if they're, coming to you and say, like, Governor, we can't do this? Are you willing to go beyond that May 31st deadline with the bill? Just like many things are.
No, I'm focused. We're working with the Black Caucus to make sure that we're addressing, and the Latino Caucus, to make sure that we're addressing any concerns that have been brought up. But suffice to say, there's a lot of progress has been made. We're very close, and as I say, it sounds like over the next couple of days that we'll have a bill that will get introduced in the House and the Senate.
Director, is hemp a good rotating crop? Will 10 years from now, will we see hemp fields like we see green fields and cornfields in Illinois?
It is a good rotating crop, absolutely. So anytime we can diversify, that's good for the soil. Hemp also brings some of the impurities out of the soil. It's an amazing plant in and of itself. So I think time will tell, but I think we certainly have the potential to see a corn, soybean, wheat, hemp rotation. I think it's very, very possible. I did want to point out here is what the permit will look like after you go through the steps. So there's what it is. This is one that it's a fake one, so it says Hemp Farm is who it was made out to. But that's what the ultimate producer, grower will have when they finish the entire process.
Governor, would you mind explaining the shoes, and also you're going to an event tonight about the latest California shooting. You're not going to speak there.
Cancer awareness, my friend. That's what that's what the shoes are about. I'm sorry, you asked about.
Just tonight, I know you're not available tonight to talk about the event you're going to about the California shooting. If you want to say something about why you're going to that in Springfield.
Yep. First of all, I think many of you understand what that tragedy means to everybody in the nation. That people in a house of worship are under attack. It's happened before. It's happening now again. And the Jewish community, just as the Muslim community, just as Christians are under attack in a country, in our nation, where we all believe that the arc of history bends toward justice, but we're in a moment where it feels like we're taking steps backward. And it's a time when the rhetoric is at the national level is wrong. And here we had a madman, really, who took as an example the tragedy in New Zealand to then go after this synagogue and the people who were worshiping there. I wanted to meet with the leaders of the Chabad here in Illinois, and I did so yesterday. And I wanted to make sure that we're on the same page, that this government, the state of Illinois, will stand up for parishioners and for houses of worship to help them develop security plans to make sure that they are secure, that all of our law enforcement are on alert about the attacks that are going on against houses of worship. And my intention with the Chabad here in Springfield is to carry that same message. Hate has no place in Illinois, and we're going to secure people who want to worship. They should be open places. That's the job of in a way of a house of worship is to be there for anybody and to be open. And I want to make sure that they are open, but I also want to make sure that we don't have tragedies like that here in Illinois.
Are you taking any steps
The
to
rhetoric
prevent
is wrong. Are you saying that the president is encouraging these people?
I'm saying that the president doesn't understand. He made some statements that I am glad he made in the wake of the shooting. I think he made those statements yesterday. But his entire orientation has been one that seems to accept that, you heard it in Charlottesville, that there are good people on both sides. No. When there are civil rights marchers on one side and there are neo-Nazis on the other, there aren't good people on both sides. There are good people on one side.
Governor, on the investigation, you said last week, you followed all rules. If you followed all rules, why did you pay back the $331,000?
We simply wanted to avoid distraction during the course of the campaign. As I say, any review of this will show that all the rules were followed. And during the campaign, it was clear that people were trying to make this a political issue. And so we just wanted to get it out of the way. Thank you.
What the legislature do in the final month of session? What are the top things? Last 5 weeks?
Good job.
Thank you for watching the Illinois Channel. You may also wish to follow us online, where you are free to make comments or program suggestions. Get our breaking news updates on Twitter, where you can find us at Illinois Channel. You can find our past programming on YouTube at youtube.com/Illinois Channel TV. Or you can go to the Illinois Channel website at illinoischannel.org. There you can find not only our current video stories and programs, but also our library of past programs, as well as articles that provide additional information about Illinois issues and individuals. The Illinois Channel, keeping you connected to your state, your issues, your home.